The metal corridor shook again, this time harder than before. A sharp alarm echoed through the station, turning everything red. Lyra, a young alien girl with silver blue skin and bright violet eyes, stumbled as she ran. Her small hands pressed against the cold walls to keep her balance. The station felt like a dying beast under her feet. The Vorn were coming. She could hear them, deep, heavy footsteps, claws scraping against steel, and their slow, hungry breathing. Lyra had lived on this station since birth, but she had never heard the Vorn this close. They were hunters. They hunted children like her. Everyone whispered about what happened when the Vorn caught someone. No one ever returned. Lyra didn't want to know the truth. She only wanted to live. She reached a dark corner and slipped behind a broken console. The wires sparked with small blue flames. The console smelled of burnt metal, but she didn't care. She curled her knees close to her chest and held her breath. Her heart hammered so loud she feared the Vorn would hear it. The corridor lights flickered. A shadow stretched across the floor, long and sharp. Not human. Not friendly. A giant Vorn soldier stepped into view. Its skin was thick and dark like stone. Its glowing red eyes scanned the hall. The creature growled, and Lyra felt the vibration in her ribs. "Find the girl," it hissed. Lyra pressed her hand to her mouth. She felt tears in her eyes but forced herself to stay quiet. If she cried, she would die. The Vorn soldier came closer. Its claws clicked on the metal floor, each step slow and heavy. It stopped right in front of the console where she hid. Lyra shut her eyes. "Please, don't find me." The creature bent down. She felt its hot breath. It reached out. Boom! The wall beside them exploded inward. A burst of fire and smoke filled the corridor. The shockwave knocked the Vorn off balance and threw Lyra backwards. She hit the floor hard and groaned. Through the smoke, a tall figure stepped into the corridor. A human. Lyra had never seen one before, but she knew the stories humans were strange, rare, and dangerous. But this one didn't look like a monster. The human wore dark armor with glowing blue lines running across it. A visor covered his face, shining like a thin blade of cold light. He looked like a warrior from a different world. He spoke, voice calm despite the chaos around him. "Stay behind me." Lyra froze. Why would a human be here? Why speak to her? Why help her at all? The Vorn soldier roared and charged at the human. The human didn't move at first. He waited, then struck. With one sudden motion, he ducked, spun, and slammed his arm into the Vorn's chest. The creature flew back like a rag doll and crashed into the wall. Lyra gasped. The human turned slightly, just enough to see her. "Get up. It's not safe." Lyra forced herself to her feet, legs shaking. More Vorn soldiers stormed into the corridor. 4 of them. Their roars made the metal walls vibrate. The human stepped forward, raising a compact energy blade that snapped to life with a sharp blue glow. He didn't show fear. Not even a little. "This just got difficult," he muttered. The first Vorn lunged. The human blocked and countered in one clean move. The second attacked from behind, but he dodged so fast Lyra almost didn't see it. He struck its leg and then its throat. The creature collapsed. But the fight wasn't easy. A Vorn claw slashed across the human's armor. Sparks flew. He stumbled but didn't fall. Instead, he hit back with full force, driving the creature down. Lyra watched in awe. The human fought like someone who had trained his whole life for this moment. Even wounded, even outnumbered, he didn't stop. One Vorn soldier reached for Lyra. She screamed. Before it touched her, the human jumped between them, grabbed the creature's arm, twisted, and threw it across the hall. He turned to her. "They want you. We can't stay here." Lyra's voice trembled. "Why me? No time." He lifted her into his arms as the ground shook from another explosion. Hold on. She wrapped her arms around his neck, terrified but somehow safe. No one had ever protected her before. No one had ever risked their life for her. The human ran through the smoking corridor. Alarms blared. Lights flickered. The station groaned as if it was about to fall apart. Behind them, Vorn soldiers roared in anger. Lyra looked up at the human's visor. She couldn't see his eyes. She didn't even know his name. But she knew one thing. If he hadn't come at that exact moment, she would already be dead. They reached a junction where another explosion shook the entire hall. The human gritted his teeth. If the Vorn take you, everything ends. We run. Now. Everything ends? What did that mean? Lyra didn't understand, but she felt the fear in his voice. Something terrible was happening, something bigger than her, bigger than this station. And the only person standing between her and the Vorn was this unknown human warrior? The corridor behind them filled with shadows as more Vorn arrived. The human tightened his grip. Don't look back. And then they ran into the darkness. The metal hallway behind them shook again, sending dust falling from the ceiling. The human warrior didn't slow down. He carried Lyra in his arms as if she weighed nothing, his boots slamming against the floor with powerful, steady steps. Lyra kept her eyes closed, afraid of seeing another Vorn appear from the smoke. After a long minute of running, the warrior stopped and set her down gently. Stay close, he said. His voice was calm, but something inside it felt tight, like he was hiding pain. The corridor ahead was darker, with pipes leaking steam and broken lights hanging from the ceiling. The air smelled like burnt metal and danger. Lyra hugged her arms. You're hurt. The human looked down at the long cut on his armor. Blue sparks flickered around the torn metal. It's nothing. But she had seen how he flinched. It was not nothing. Still, he kept moving. Lyra followed closely, her step small compared to his long stride. Who are you? She asked softly. Captain Rylan, he answered without turning. Human Defense Union. Lyra blinked. Humans live far away. No one comes here. I came, Rylan replied. But why? She whispered. He stopped walking. Slowly, he turned toward her. His visor reflected the dim light, so she still couldn't see his face. But she could feel his eyes on her. Because the Vorn want something they should never have, he said. And you carry it. Lyra felt cold. I don't understand. You don't need to. You just have to survive. Before she could ask more, the station lights flickered, then turned pitch red again. A deep voice echoed through the hall, broken, distorted, but powerful enough to rattle Lyra's bones. Human, return the girl. Lyra gasped. Commander Cracks. Rylan stood still, listening. The voice continued, filled with hate. You cannot escape. She belongs to us. Give her back, and I may let you live. Rylan whispered, liar. A loud metallic thud echoed far behind them. The Vorn were getting closer again. Rylan motioned forward. Move. They reached a large door with a glowing panel. Rylan tapped something on his wrist, and the door unlocked with a heavy groan, sliding open into a wide mechanical chamber filled with giant machines. Steam hissed everywhere. This room was unfamiliar to Lyra. She had never been this deep inside the station. There should be a maintenance lift, Rylan said, scanning the room. He started walking between towering metal structures. Lyra followed him, jumping at every random hiss of steam. What do the Vorn want from me? She asked again. This time her voice sounded stronger, braver. Rylan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stopped beside a large machine and activated the panel. The screen flickered on. You have something in your blood, he said slowly. Something old. Something dangerous. Something the Vorn want for war. My blood? Lyra touched her arm. But I'm just a child. That's why they want you, he said. Because you don't know what you carry, and because you're easier to take. Lyra's heart squeezed with fear. Suddenly the screen in front of Rylan turned red. A symbol appeared, sharp, jagged, unmistakable. The Vorn emblem. Commander Krax's voice echoed through the speakers in the chamber. Captain Rylan. Brave, foolish human. Rylan stepped in front of Lyra instinctively. You cannot win. Your ship is gone. Your reinforcements are dead. You have one choice, surrender the girl, or all inside this station will burn. Lyra shook her head. He will kill us anyway. Yes, Rylan said. That's why we don't negotiate. He turned off the panel and started moving again, faster now. Captain, Lyra called, running to keep up. If they destroy the station, we'll die too. Not if we reach the hangar, he said. There are escape pods. But the Vorn will be there. Rylan nodded once. I'm counting on it. Lyra didn't understand. But she didn't have time to ask, because the floor suddenly trembled. Machinery shook violently. Something massive slammed into the chamber door behind them. Boom. 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 The door dented inward with each hit. They found us, Rylan said. He grabbed Lyra's hand and ran toward the far side of the chamber. Up ahead, a lift platform rested on a circular track. That lift will take us directly to the hangar, he explained. Once we're there. The chamber door exploded behind them, metal shards flying everywhere. 4 Vorn soldiers marched in. Lyra screamed. Rylan pulled her behind a metal crate just as a clawed hand slashed where she had been standing. One Vorn soldier pointed at their hiding place. They are here. Rylan clenched his jaw. No choice. He activated his energy blade again. The blue light glowed brighter than before. Stay here, he told Lyra. No. Lyra grabbed his arm. They'll kill you. He touched her shoulder gently, only for a second. I'm not dying today. Then he jumped out from behind the crate. The battle erupted instantly. A Vorn swung its heavy claw. Rylan dodged and sliced across its arm. The creature roared. Another rushed him from the left, but he kicked it back with powerful force. Sparks lit up the chamber as metal clashed with energy. Rylan fought with everything he had. But the Vorn were strong. Too strong. One hit him in the side, sending him sliding across the floor. He groaned, struggling to regain his footing. Rylan! Lyra cried. He stood up again, shaking, breathing hard, but refusing to fall. Run to the lift, he shouted. Go! Lyra hesitated only a second, then sprinted toward the lift platform. She turned on the control panel, hands trembling. The platform hummed to life. But when she looked back, her heart froze. Rylan was surrounded by 3 Vorn soldiers. He blocked a blow, dodged another, but the third grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. No! Lyra screamed. Rylan's energy blade dropped from his hand, clattering on the floor. The Vorn holding him hissed, humans break so easily. But Rylan didn't stop fighting. With the last of his strength, he pressed a device on his wrist. A small flash erupted, blinding white light. The Vorn staggered back, covering their eyes. Rylan fell to the floor, coughing. Lyra, he shouted weakly, start the lift. She hit the button impulsively. The lift began to rise. Rylan ran, limping, staggering, but running. A Vorn lunged at him, missing by inches. He grabbed his blade from the floor and leaped onto the lift just as it rose high above the Vorn soldiers. Lyra let out the breath she didn't know she was holding. Rylan collapsed beside her, bleeding from his shoulder. We made it, she whispered. Rylan shook his head slowly. No. The hard part starts now. As the lift carried them upward toward the hangar, the Vorn roars echoed below. Chilling, furious, and getting louder. The lift climbed higher and higher through the broken layers of the station. Smoke rose from below, and the angry roars of the Vorn echoed from every corner. Lyra stood close to Rylan, watching him breathe hard. His armor was cracked. His shoulder bled. But his eyes, though hidden behind the visor, felt focused and unbroken. "How much farther?" Lyra whispered. "Almost to the hangar," Rylan said. His voice sounded tired but steady. "When the doors open, don't look back. Just run straight to the escape pod." Lyra shook her head. "I'm not leaving without you." Rylan didn't answer at first. When he did, his voice was softer. "You have to survive." "Not me." The lift finally stopped with a jolt. The metal doors slid open. A huge hangar spread out before them, dark, cold, and destroyed. Broken ships lay everywhere. Flames flickered across the floor. And worst of all, the Vorn were waiting. Dozens of them. Their black stone-like bodies blocked every path. Their red eyes all turned toward the lift at the same moment. Lyra froze. Rylan stepped in front of her. A deep voice filled the hangar, vibrating through every metal wall. "Human, you have run enough." Commander Krax emerged from the shadows. Taller than any Vorn Lyra had seen, with armor made of thick bone-like plates and claws long as blades. His eyes glowed with cruel intelligence. Rylan tightened his grip on his energy blade. Lyra felt her legs shaking. Krax spread his arms wide. "Give me the girl. She carries the gene of the first star. With her blood, the Vorn Empire rises again." Lyra felt Rylan stiffen. She looked up at him, confused. "Gene of the first star, what is that?" Rylan whispered, "Power. The kind no one should control." Krax stepped closer. "You cannot save her, human. You came alone. No army. No ship. Nothing." Rylan stood tall despite his injuries. "I came with enough." A few Vorn laughed, their voices cruel and sharp. Krax pointed one massive claw at Lyra. "Bring her to me." The Vorn soldiers advanced. Rylan moved instantly. "Run, Lyra. Right side, pod number 7. Lyra didn't want to leave him, but the Vorn were closing in fast. She sprinted across the hangar, dodging debris and fires. The heat burned her face. Her breath broke. Her feet slipped on metal, but she kept running. Behind her, the fight began. Rylan charged into the Vorn like a storm. His energy blade flashed blue. Sparks flew. Metal screeched. He fought with wild, fierce strength, stronger than before, as if pain only pushed him harder. Every time a Vorn struck, Rylan hit back twice. But there were too many. A Vorn grabbed his arm, he twisted free. Another hit him in the back, he rolled, stabbed upward, and kept fighting. His armor cracked piece by piece. Lyra reached escape pod 7. The door blinked with a weak, dying light. She slammed the button. The panel beeped, but the pod didn't open. "No, no, no," she cried. Rylan fought harder. Krax finally stepped forward. The ground shook under his steps. Rylan spun toward him. "Come on then." Krax swung his massive claw. Rylan blocked, but the force threw him across the hangar. He hit a wall, dropped to one knee, and gasped. Lyra screamed, "Rylan!" Krax's voice thundered. "You are alone. You are weak. You bleed. Humans always break." Rylan wiped blood from his mouth. "Humans don't break, we stand back up." He rose again, slow, shaking, but standing. Krax charged. But this time, Rylan was ready. At the last second, he rolled aside. Krax's claw smashed into the floor, leaving a crater. Rylan slashed his blade across Krax's arm. The commander roared, furious. Rylan grabbed a broken fuel pipe from the floor, tore it open, and sprayed sparks and fuel into Krax's face. Fire burst upward. Krax staggered back, blinded for a moment. Rylan ran to Lyra. Pod not working, he said, panting. She shook her head, eyes full of tears. It's locked. We're trapped. Rylan pressed his hand against the panel. A small spark came from his wrist device. The pod beeped. Unlocked. Lyra gasped. How? I have override codes, he said. Now listen carefully. He opened the pod door. You get inside. You launch. You don't wait for me. No. Lyra grabbed his arm. I'm not going alone. Rylan leaned down until their faces were close. Lyra, if they take you, the galaxy burns. If I stay, maybe it doesn't. Tears rose in her eyes. Krax's roar shook the hangar again. The commander charged toward them. Rylan pushed Lyra into the pod. I'm a soldier. Protecting life is my job. He stepped back. And protecting you was worth everything. The pod door began to close. Lyra cried, Rylan, don't. But it was too late, the door seal shut. She saw him through the small window as the pod systems started. Rylan turned away from her and faced Krax. Krax towered over him. You die now, human. Rylan raised his blade one last time. Maybe. But she lives. He pressed the final command on his wrist device. The hangar beneath him erupted as the station's reactor overloaded. The pod launched violently, shooting out into space just as the explosion consumed everything behind it. Lyra screamed his name, reaching toward the burning station. Then silence. The pod floated into the cold darkness of space, far from the flames. Lyra pressed her hand against the window, tears falling quietly. You saved me. I won't forget. The human ship that had been hiding far away suddenly appeared, pulling her pod into safety. A soft voice spoke through the calms. Rescue complete. Captain Rylan's mission, successful. Lyra closed her eyes. Humans were not the strongest. Not the fastest. Not the most powerful. But they were the bravest. And one human warrior had saved the galaxy.